enough with this gloom and doom about the Broncos and the Colts. Let's get to a happier topic. The undefeated Philadelphia Eagles, Matt. Wow. I mean, we were already saying we thought they were going to be really good, but did you imagine such a perfect start to the season? What has impressed you the most as an Eagles fan? I know you've been dying for this the past few years.
I am like extremely impressed. I don't know what I could point to more. The fact that Jonathan Gannon actually knows how to coach defense has shocked me. Jalen Hurts' leadership has been unbelievable. Like I've been watching all the like post game locker room speeches, and rain, sleet, or snow, the Eagles train to go, and it's he's got them like working like clockwork right now. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I can't believe all the offseason moves, like, I was impressed with, but things tend to, like, when people just sign a bunch of people, they don't always tend to work out. Like we saw with the Patriots last year, there was hit and miss. I feel like the Eagles so far have hit on every single move they've made, not to mention the improvement from Hurts, the improvement from Miles Sanders, and just across the team. They've looked pretty much flawless at almost every position.
I think they're the best team in the league. I think we can all kind of agree on that, even like if some of us here are Eagles fans. I mean, I think they're a great team. I mean, they've done everything right. Even in games that they've played less than stellar, like in the Jaguars game, they're still able to come back and like really rally around, Jalen Hurts and really win that game. I think that this team, if they keep doing how they're doing, they should be fine. I do think their one issue though is that they're not establishing a run game at all. It's kind of weird that Miles Sanders, he has the capability to be an excellent running back, and he'll just disappear some game. But when Miles Sanders is your starter and he's your most dynamic running back, it's a little odd to just leave him out of your offense from time to time, which is kind of what I feel their issue is that their offense kind of runs through one player each week instead of just spreading the ball around, because that's probably going to lead to some injuries happening, and that's not what you want. So.
Yeah, that's fair because we saw Miles really explode last week in the Hurricane game, and he got a ton of touches. We saw Devontae the week before get a lot of touches. Week 1, it was all going through A.J. Brown. Matt, is that a problem for you, or are you okay with that? And also, do you think they're going to start to spread the targets around going forward?
I don't know. I think that they're just kind of game planning like who's gonna beat who every game. And week 1 it was AJ Brown, like you said, and this week, it was a rainy game. They said we're gonna run Miles. I think he got like 25 carries or something like that.
Yeah.
That's a little much for me in a normal game that isn't raining. I mean, anything around like 15 to 20 is probably perfect for me when it comes to how many carries Miles should get. Yeah, no, I think that they'll probably spread it around more. I think Smitty and AJ will start being more balanced in their stat lines.
I think Devontae, I have him in fantasy this year. He had the 30-point game. Last week he was week 1 he had nothing. So I hope that they can start to balance the Brown and Devonta wide receiver tandem. Goddard's great too. I just think that the Eagles Hurts I knew was going to take a step forward, but he's kind of like an MVP candidate. I don't think I envisioned that either. Matt, do you think that's sustainable? Do you think Hurts, do you think people start to figure him out, or do you think he's just going to be this good?
I don't know if he's going to keep this up the entire year, but like I've been watching, obviously like probably 90% of the offensive snaps so far this year, and he really does not put the ball in danger at all. Like his only bad throw that I can remember was the pick six. He threw it into triple coverage. It's a rainy game. It was early in the game. It wasn't smart, but his only other pick was like on a screen that went off the running back's hand.
Yeah, and that was in the Vikings game where your guys were already up big in the second half. I love that. By the way, I love that. Matt, we always talk about Eagles destroy the Vikings, Packers beat down the Cowboys. It's a great marriage of our teams here, but I love seeing that, especially after the Vikings killed us in week 1. So, I guess the next piece for the Eagles, they have a very easy schedule, but people have kind of talked about that. I don't really buy it because you can have an easy schedule, but when you look at how good the Eagles have been, I don't care who they're playing. They've been lights out. Mike, would you agree with that, or do you think that the schedule is maybe a concern for the Eagles' contention status in the playoffs?
No, I would agree that they have had an easy schedule. I don't think any of us will deny that they have played some easy teams, but I don't think that like disparages like that the fact that they're playing well. It's not just like 1 or 2 score games. It's by quite a lot of points. So yeah, it's an easy schedule, but I think the Eagles are actually a good team. I don't think it's really going to matter once they play harder teams, because I really can't think of any team right now that could match up to them.
I think in the NFC, I definitely agree. I think the AFC, I still would probably favor the Bills or the Chiefs, but the Eagles aren't that far off if this defense is going to keep playing as well as it has. You know, Hassan Reddick just won Defensive Player of the Week. Bradbury and Slay have been really good. So yeah, I agree. I think the schedule, yes, the Eagles' schedule is easy, but they also are making a mockery. I mean, we saw what they did to the Commanders last week, and I know the Commanders are a bit of a laughing stock, but they also put up a lot of points earlier in the season. So I don't know. I was impressed with them really every game so far. Matt, if you could like, is there anything at all with this team that worries you, or are you just like all in right now?
Uh, I mean, so we actually did score more in the second half, like late in the game against the Jaguars, and that was something I really wanted to see. We didn't even wait till we had a touchdown lead by halftime.
Yeah.
Like it didn't. We didn't even need the rest of the game to do it. I don't know. I guess I just need to just see. I want to see him what they do against the Cardinals. I'm afraid of Kyler late in the game, just because usually second half the Cardinals realize whatever Cliff was planning was bad, and they kind of just let Kyler, do his talent thing and run
Yeah.
around until they're only down by like 5. So
Hmm.
that's what I'm worried about, if anything.
What about Dallas? You worried about them getting Dak back? What do you think about that?
Dallas's defense looks really good, and obviously they have to play very well right now because their offense can only get them about like 20 points a game. But yeah, I'm a little worried about that. I'm excited to see how we do against that defense, but I feel like our defense is going to have our way with their offense because whether it's Dak or Cooper Rush, they're like I just don't see the Cowboys being that productive against us. And I would love to go into the bye. We have a week 7 bye, so I'd love to go into that 6-0.
Yeah, I think it's very possible. Are you guys home for the Dallas game next week?
Yes, it's
Okay,
Sunday Night Football,
that's gonna be
prime
big.
time.
Nice. That's an exciting contest, especially if Dak is back. I think that this, Mike. You tell me if you agree with this. I think the Eagles are gonna swallow up the run game the next 2 weeks with James Conner and then the Zeke Pollard tandem. I can't see that those units generating a lot of rush yards. Maybe Kyler himself will have to scramble around, but I think the Eagles could really come close to not pitching a shutout necessarily, but like holding these two teams to like 10 to 14 points in the next 2 weeks.
I do agree with what Matt was saying about the Cardinals. We might see Kyler Murray try to pull out some late game magician type plays, but I don't think that's really going to happen considering the Eagles are by far the strongest team that the Cardinals are going to face, like have faced this far into the
Mhm.
season. And as for the Cowboys game, me personally, it's going to make me sound like a hater, but I don't think the Cowboys defense has proven anything to me personally because they've played bad teams. I mean, we saw week 1 they got destroyed, and week 2, they played the Bengals. It was a very bad game on both sides. They played the Giants and the Commanders. I just haven't seen them play an actual good team, with actually good offensive firepower. Because even with the Bengals, the Bengals beat the Dolphins last week, unfortunately, but even the Dolphins were able to shut down their offense for the most part. We kept the receivers in check, even like all 3 of them. So I don't think the Cowboys defense has proven that they're actually good enough yet. Until I see them like play well against a good team, I'm not going to sit here and claim that the Cowboys are a good team overall because I think offensively they're very lackluster, as you guys were also saying.
I also think, a lot of people have been talking about how Micah's been getting like double and triple teamed. If anyone's going to keep Micah in check, it's the Eagles' offensive line.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
another key, Matt. I think that's another key. Like if they're going to get Sanders going, like the O line might. What do you think is the strength of the Eagles team? There's a lot of good parts. Is the O line the best unit? Is it the D line? Is it the secondary? What would you give it to?
I think everything runs through our O-line because we are so effective at running out of shotgun. It allows for us to just keep going back and forth between, RPOs, like Hertz can hand it off or he can throw it, or out of shotgun, you could also run a read option. Hertz can keep it himself or hand it off. And these defenses just have no clue what to do because we can do everything out of shotgun.
Is Mailata healthy? I know he came off the field last week. I haven't seen any updates on him.
He might be able to play this week, but my thoughts are they're going to sit him for Dallas because we could probably do with, I think Jack Driscoll will be starting at left tackle. He's been a solid backup for a year or 2 now. So
Yeah, I just get him healthy for sure for that big game. I'm just really excited to see, Jalen is like creeping into the territory. Like Kyler versus Jalen is a debate almost now. And if Jalen wins this week, and I guess this can bring us to the game pick here. We can start with the Eagles Cardinals game, even though it's not the first game. But I don't know. Like Jalen's kind of on that level now. Would you agree with that, Matt? If he can win
I
this,
mean, like future wise, I'm probably taking Jalen just because, like, while Kyler, his ceiling's probably higher, he puts the ball in danger more. And also, when it comes to the pick, I just want to note too that the Cardinals. This game is in Arizona. The Cardinals are 0-2 at home right now, so
Mm.
that's something. And their only 2 wins are on the road. So
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, Jalen was kind of commenting at the presser the other day. He's like, the Cardinals are a good team. We don't want to undersell them. I kind of disagree with Jalen there.
he's
I'm
got to
definitely
say that though.
Yeah, that's true. That's no, I know. I'm just saying, like, it's just kind of funny for me to hear that. It's like, well, they're not really a threat at all. I'm definitely going the Eagles this week. They're going to move to 5-0 against the Cardinals. I'm not a Cardinals guy. I've said it before, and like I was saying about Jalen and Kyler, like Kyler just, I don't know, like he doesn't give me the leadership qualities that someone like Jalen is, as you talked about, Matt, has started to display. I feel like he kind of thinks he just should be handed the world, even though he hasn't proven anything. What do you think about that, Mike?
As for like the whole thing about him saying like we can't underestimate them, I don't think they're a bad team necessarily, but I think you also just like have to be in the mindset like we can't underestimate this team because that's really going to bite you in the ass in the worst way possible. It doesn't matter how much better your team should be than another team if you start getting too overconfident. You have to. But that's what I like about Jalen Hurts. He just seems kind of like a guy who's a really good leader, and he seems like a stand-up guy. He knows what he's doing, and I think he's really going to go far. I do think he's an MVP candidate so far. I don't think he'll beat out Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes if they keep playing the way they're playing, unfortunately, because Patrick Mahomes just and like Jalen Hurts isn't them. Unfortunately, they're just insane. These are some of the best quarterbacks in the league right now. They are the two best, me personally, I think. But he's definitely going to be that third guy, I think, in that MVP race.
I mean, I would put Josh in there, but I think Jalen is definitely in the discussion as well.
I think Josh Allen sometimes is prone to like reverting to rookie year Josh Allen. He just makes a really bonehead throw sometimes. So I think, and like, I still think he's one of the best. I would put him like top 5 for sure. Like, I'm not going to say Josh Allen's not amazing, but I just think that he's just not as consistent as like the other 3. So
I guess we'll see how it plays out. I'm still really in on the Bills this year, so we'll have to see how it shakes out. I think the weather last week really impacted that. But let's get to the picks here. So I already said I'm going with the Eagles. What do you guys say, Mike? Who you got this week?
I mean, it's the Eagles for sure. I don't really see them losing to the Cardinals. And if they do, that's not a great sign, but it could also just be like a little bit of a misstep. Like he had a bad game. It remains to be seen, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Eagles are just too good for them to mess up.
Mueller, I think we know who you're going with, but who you got?
I'm gonna shock everyone here, and I'm gonna pick the Eagles. This game, it has like a little bit of like a trap game feel to me, which is what I'm a little worried about. But I'd much rather take this loss this week. I think if we lost this week, we would be fine against Dallas because then we really hammer it home in practice. So if we're gonna lose, I hope it's this week.
I think a loss would only increase your chances of winning against Dallas, but I think you're just going to be 6-0. I got the Eagles as well.